Let's get right into it. Apple just pushed out the first beta for iOS 26.4, and, it's a really interesting one. It's got this mix of practical upgrades, some security features we've been waiting for, and one big, headline-grabbing AI feature that I don't think anyone saw coming, at least not like this.
So, what's the big surprise? Well, right out of the gate, it looks like Apple is bringing some serious AI power straight to your dashboard. We are talking about honest-to-goodness AI chatbots available right through CarPlay for the very first time.
And we're not talking about some light, stripped-down version either. This new public beta gives developers the tools to bring third-party, voice-controlled access to the biggest names in AI: ChatGPT, Gemini, and Claude. The whole idea is that you'll be able to talk to these AIs totally hands-free right from your driver's seat. It's a pretty big deal.
And you knew there had to be a but, right? There's a pretty major catch. Before you get too excited about replacing Siri with Gemini on your morning commute, we really need to dig into how this whole thing actually works, because the reality is a little more limited.
This is the #1 question I'm seeing everywhere, and the short answer is a hard no. Apple is absolutely not letting these other AIs take over your iPhone. So how does it all fit together then? So this chart really breaks it down for us. Let's look at what it can do. You'll basically open up the ChatGPT or Gemini app on your CarPlay screen just by tapping the icon. Once you're in the app, you can ask it questions hands-free. But now look at the what it doesn't side. This is super important. It does not replace Siri. You can't just say a wake word like, "Hey Gemini," to get started. And this is the big one. These AIs can't control anything on your phone or in your car. Only Siri can do that. So think of it more like having an app open on your dashboard, not like getting a new brain for your car. And one more really important thing to remember. Just because the feature is in the iOS beta, it doesn't mean you can use it right this second. The AI companies themselves, OpenAI, Google, Anthropic, they all have to go in and update their apps to even take advantage of this new CarPlay feature. And that could take a little while. Okay, so the CarPlay AI thing is maybe more of a baby step than a giant leap. But hey, don't write off this update just yet, because iOS 26.4 is actually packed with other great features, starting with a huge, and I mean huge, security upgrade for messaging. For what feels like forever, those green bubble texts you send to your friends on Android have been, well, let's just say, not very secure. They were missing that end-to-end encryption that iMessages have always had. Well, with iOS 26.4, that is finally changing. Apple is bringing end-to-end encryption to RCS messages, which basically makes your chats with Android users just as private as your iMessage conversations. And how will you know it's working? Well, Apple's adding a nice little visual cue. You'll now see this little lock icon on all your encrypted messages. It doesn't matter if it's a blue bubble or a green one. If you see that lock, you know your conversation is secure. It's a really simple way to give you that peace of mind.
Now, beyond that big security boost, there are a bunch of other really nice quality of life improvements. Let's do a quick tour. First up, in the camera, there's a new audio zoom setting. It's pretty cool. It focuses the microphone on whatever you're zooming in on when you're shooting video. Over in Apple Music, we get Playlist Playground, which lets you create playlists just by typing in a simple text prompt. On the security side of things, stolen device protection is now turned on by default for everybody, which is a massive win. And finally, the Health app is getting a new average bedtime metric to give you a better picture of your sleep habits. All in all, some really solid updates here.
Okay, but for all the things this update does have, we have to talk about the elephant in the room. There's one feature that every rumor, every leak, was pointing to for this specific update. It was supposed to be Apple's big AI answer to the rest of the tech world.
And yeah, it's just not here. The completely redesigned AI-supercharged version of Siri is nowhere to be found in iOS 26.4. And trust me, the tech world has definitely noticed. As TechRadar puts it here, this absence is pretty significant. This was supposed to be the update where Apple finally showed us its system-wide answer to things like ChatGPT.
So what this means is that the smarter, way more conversational Siri, the one that's supposed to be powered in part by Google's Gemini AI, has been delayed. It's not coming this spring like we all thought it would. So if not now, then when? Well, funny enough, thanks to some leaked internal documents, we actually have a pretty good idea of Apple's software roadmap. It gives us a little peek behind the curtain at when we might finally see the new Siri and what else is coming down the pipe. This timeline pretty much lays it all out. We're here in early 2026 with iOS 26.4 coming out, sans new Siri.
The next big date to circle on your calendar is the fall, for iOS 27. That is now the most likely time we'll see the big Siri debut, and you can see they're already planning for iOS 28 and beyond.
So what else can we expect in iOS 27, besides, fingers crossed, the new Siri? Well, the leaks point to some better AI-powered collections in the Photos app and a totally new system for pairing your AirPods that's supposed to be way faster and more reliable. So it's definitely shaping up to be another big release.
And that kind of brings us to the big, lingering question this whole update leaves us with. The CarPlay feature is a very small, very cautious step into AI. The real Siri overhaul is delayed, so is Apple actually falling behind in the AI race, or are they just playing the long game, waiting to get it absolutely perfect? That is the question we're all going to be asking for the rest of this year.